Oh, he was probably sacrificed to Samhain. He was probably sacrificed by the Celtics. He was found in the land of the Celtics. What am I doing here, guys? What am I trying to... I'm trying to put everything together like a puzzle. You know what a puzzle is, right? I'm putting everything together for you guys. I'm getting deep inside, trying to help you understand the background of Halloween. Who celebrated Halloween? What it was originally called? How did they celebrate Halloween? This is the history. It's not about pumpkin, faces, candy, which we're going to get to later. You need to know the background history. Let us continue. The Druids. You remember I mentioned the Druids earlier? Yeah. Let me ask you a question. I'll tell you who they are. Do you guys have any... Have you ever heard of Druids before in the past? Put up your hand. You don't have to answer it. All right, cool. Do you guys know what Druids are? Or where they were? Okay, if you don't know, it's fine. All right, the Druids. Before the birth of Christ, Caesar conquered the Britons and he records very carefully the account of the Druid priests, early witches. So again, we thank you, Caesar, for actually documenting this information for us. Is that being misguided? What does he say? Listen to what Julius Caesar says. All Gallic nations are much given to superstition. They either offer up victims to the gods, not God, gods, because they had different deities. Samhain, some places maybe Thor, and etc. Or make a vow to sacrifice themselves. Oh my gosh, so they also made a vow to sacrifice themselves? Kind of cuckoo there, huh? Let's continue. The ministers in these, listen to this, the ministers in these offerings are the Druids. The ministers are who? The Druids. They would lead the people. Just like the Papas and the Kes leads you in the Kesis, the Druids would lead the people. Everyone would gather around and be like, lead us, Father, lead us. And they would be jabbing, stabbing, killing, and putting people in the wicker man. Very gruesome. So, the ministers in these offerings are the Druids. Don't take my word for it, my brothers and sisters. Take Caesar. Julius Caesar actually wrote about this. And they hold that the wrath of the immortal gods can only be appeased and man's life redeemed by offering up human sacrifice. And it is part of their national institutions to hold fixed ceremonies for this purpose. Part of their national institutions. So it was vast in the land of the Celtics. It's kind of, when you go like in Ethiopia and in Eritrea, because the Tewahedo Orthodox Church, you go to Gadama, to the monasteries, the Kesis, the service. Nationally, everywhere, the service is the same. There's Mazmur, Mezamran, Oborot, Tzanatzin. Let's flip that here. So what he's saying is, this was a national thing by the Celtics. No matter if they were from Scotland, Ireland, and so on. Remember, keep in mind here, don't sleep. This is the tradition of who again? I'm just asking you just to make sure you guys are paying attention. The tradition of the Celtics. And I'm giving you guys reference. If you guys want to, write it, go research it. All right. So Druids were all called practitioners, witches of sort. Let's continue. So, Druids, who are they? Or what was their status? Celtic priests. So they were kahanat. Not Christian kahanat. Not Orthodox kahanat. They were basically witches, satanic kahanat. Occultic. We're going to get to that word later on. Members of the learned class, like Likaunt, like Mrigeta. They were very intellectual. People would go to them for knowledge. They were very wise. Teachers, judges, witches performed rituals, ceremonies, ministered offering and sacrifice. Can I ask you guys a question? Who ministers offerings and sacrifices in our church? That's an easy answer. That is so easy. Come on, guys. Who ministers offerings and services? I said our church, not the Celtic. Easy. Yes. Good. I'm looking for a general term. Drink it. Yeah, priest. The kahanat. Yes. Kahanat, thank you. What sacrifices we're talking about? Kadasye. That's the sacrifice. Meswa'at kadasye. Sarat kadasye. That's a sacrifice. So, but the Jews, they sacrifice not kadasye, they sacrificed human beings. They sacrificed animals and so on. So, we talked about the Celtics, okay, their background. And we talked about Halloween, the origin of it. And then we talked about the Druids who were leading the people. Just like the Kesis leads you to Tzolot, the Jews were leading the people. To do what? Jab, stab, kill, all these gruesome things. Let's continue. On the eve of the Feast of Samhain, October 31st, the Celtic priest, the Druids, led the people in diabolical worship ceremonies to appease Samhain, Lord of Darkness. To appease him, to make him happy, to make Samhain happy on the 31st. What's the 31st now? We refer to it as Halloween. But in those days, that's how it started. So they're like, yeah, tomorrow, November 1st is, Big Bad. It's New Year, Addis Ahmed. So you know what? Tonight we're going to get together, make a bonfire like Damira. And guess what? We're going to sacrifice. Hey, you have a daughter? You have a son? Bring her here. Sacrifice time. From a few places where I read to, some of them were willingly happy to sacrifice themselves. They're like, take me, Kesis, take me. Okay? That's kind of sick. That's kind of nuts. But hey, that's their society, that's their belief. Caesar wrote part of their ceremonies, the Jews would offer up human sacrifice. So, next time, guys, I'm going to continue with my session. Okay? Next time, you guys can't come back to me and be like, hey, Kesis, you made it up. Oh, you're a priest, you're just trying to scare us. No way, Jose. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to present what's online, because I know you guys are a smart bunch. You guys are going to Google this and find out the truth. But I did the hard part for you guys. I'm providing you guys with references, so just, jot it down, go home, take a peek, look at it, educate yourself and others. May I continue? Yes? All right. Ladies, may I continue? All right. Okay. So modern Druids. So we talked about Druids back in the day. Now, do Druids still exist? Yes, but no human sacrifice. Why do you think? Kind of mentioned it earlier. If you sacrificed a human being now, what would happen to you? It's obvious, right? Yes, buddy back there. Yeah. If you would sacrifice a human being now, in 2023, what would happen to you? Huh? You would go to prison, yeah. The police will be at your door, they'll take you. So now we have Jews, they practice almost everything but excluding human sacrifice. Now, this is online. You guys can find this online. Do you guys know what this location here is? Please tell me you guys know what this is. Please tell me you studied at school. Stonehenge. Okay? It's supposed to be a mystical place. I remember when I was in high school back in the day here, we were fascinated when our teacher was telling us about this. He's it's very magical and stuff like that. Now I'm like, oh, it's not magical. Whoa. But anyways, the modern Druids of 21st century, they're magicians, warlock, witches, and wizards. Let's continue. More pictures, you see? Warlocks, magicians, and wizards, and so on. What about trick or treat? We're going to talk about trick or treat now. Is everybody with me here? Can everybody say yes just to make sure? Yes? All right, let's continue. Trick or treat. Druid priests, remember, the Druids were kahanat, occultic, okay, worshiping and sacrificing to demons. Druid priests and people would go from house to house asking for animals and human beings. So their kahanat, they would go around knocking on doors and be like, hey, do you have a daughter spirit? Your uncle? Grandma? Yep, we'll sacrifice her. Their culture. So it was the job of the Druids. What are they trying to do here? Prepare for what? What feast? Help me out. Please tell me you learned today. They're preparing for what? They would usually sacrifice human being on the eve of New Year, which was, according to the Celtic, November 1st. Good. So they would celebrate on the eve, which was October the... Thank you, guys. Good. All right. Let's continue. Those who gave... Listen, the Jews will go around. You have a human being? You don't? You're poor? Okay, give me an animal. Whatever you can spare. So, those who gave were promised prosperity, and those who refused to give were cursed and threatened. If you set out treats for wandering spirits, they would not trick or curse you. So they believed these spirits would come back at that night, and people would just leave like cakes, like double and cakes and different kind of stuff to appease the spirits. Some of their tradition. Hence, we have the origin of trick or treat. Trick or treat is a reenactment of the Jewish practice. Listen to that term, trick or treat. Trick doesn't even sound good. Trickery doesn't even sound good. Doesn't sound positive. Let's continue. Origin of costumes. On the evening of October 31st, you notice we're covering a lot of things. It's always going back to where? October the 31st. Yeah. There's a common denominator here. On the evening of October 31st, the Jewish occultic priests build a huge bonfire of oak branches. Do you guys know what a bonfire is? You guys know what it is? I know you guys know what it is. We kind of did something like that on a few weeks ago. Outside. I'm giving you a hint. Damira? Good. That's what it is, Damira. But our Damira is to glorify God and celebrate the feast of the cross, Ba'al Meskal. But these people were not celebrating Ba'al Meskal, okay? They're celebrating Samain. So, they made bonfires. Who? The Druids. Occultic priests built a huge bonfire of oak branches and burned animals, crops, and human beings as sacrifice to their sun god, Mukola, and Samahan, their god of death. They had so many gods. Does this sound very pleasing to you guys? No. So we're talking about what here? The origin of costumes. Let me continue. During this diabolical ceremony, the people wore costumes. So during that ceremony, okay, of the bonfire, and they would just throw people in the fire, which was very gruesome. The people that were gathered wore costumes made of animal heads and skins. They then practiced, it gets gruesome here, divination, magic, looked for omens in the struggle of the victims, sacrificed in the fires, jumped over the flames, or dashed through them, danced and sang. All of this was done to frighten the evil spirits away. So there's the bonfire. They would sacrifice people, and they would do divination with their body parts. In other words, so they throw somebody in the bonfire, this person's burning, they're dead. They take some of their pieces from their intestines, they'd be like, okay, you know what, let's do some divination here. Oh, so next month it's going to be raining. And you know what divination is? Magic, right? Foretelling the future as well. That's disgusting, using human body parts? The tradition of who? Celtics. Okay? Not ours, the Celtics. Very gruesome. Origin of costumes continued. It was the Druids believed that on the eve of the festival, November 1st, on the eve Celtic New Year, Saman, Lord of Death, or Samahan, called together the wicked soul spirits that within the past 12 months had been condemned to inhabit the bodies of animals. Okay? Let's continue. The belief was that Saman, or Samahan, would send these evil spirits to attack people on the eve before the November 1st celebration. The only way these people could escape was by assuming disguises or wearing costumes and looking like evil spirits themselves. So they believed their god Samahan would send these evil spirits to where? The land of the Celtics. So the people got scared. They're like, it's the 31st of October. These spirits are coming over soon. They're going to scare us. So you know what we should do? Wear hideous costumes. To scare who? To scare the evil spirits. Doesn't make sense. But that was their custom, their tradition. The origin of, what does it say? Pumpkins. Okay. Before pumpkins, turnips were used by the Irish. The Celtic legend alleges a man named Stingy Jack made a pact with the devil that he would never go to hell. Remember, this is their folklore. This is their story. This is what they believed in, not ours. So it all started with Jack, Stingy Jack. He made a pact with the devil to never go to hell. Let's continue. But when Jack died, he learned that heaven did not want his soul either. So he was forced to wander the earth as a ghost for eternity. The devil gave Jack a burning lump of coal and a carved out turnip to light his way. This is their tradition, not ours. As you can see right there illustrated. Heaven didn't want him, Stingy Jack. Hell didn't want him. So he was wandering where? On this earth forever, for eternity. So, based on this, or based on what their belief is, Satan was sympathetic. He had a good heart. So he threw what for him? It's right there. Not a turnip, but it's right there. A burning lump of coal and a carved out turnip, right? So he could just hold it and go around like this so it could brighten his path. Like Satan really cares, huh? So that's their tradition. That's their culture. That's what they believed in. Locals eventually began carving scary faces into their own turnips. You're probably wondering what turnips are, okay? I'll show you soon. So this was their legend. This was their custom. Locals eventually, the Celtics, the locals, began carving scary faces into their own turnips to frighten away evil spirits. Okay. This tradition was referred to as Jack-o'-lantern. So that's the history of pumpkin. So what is a turnip? It's right here. This is what a turnip is. You can probably find it at Food Basic, Freshco. I don't know. But they had great abundance of turnips in the land of the Irish, in Scotland, and Britain. So they used turnips back in the day. And you know what? They actually found one right there in the middle. I think this goes back from centuries. They actually found one. Don't ask me where. You could Google it. And then from turnips, they transitioned to pumpkins. I read somewhere when the Irish came to America, there was great abundance of pumpkins, not turnips. So they're like, you know what? There's not a lot of turnips here. Let's just use pumpkins. So that's how the tradition also transitioned from turnips to pumpkins. Let me ask you a question. Whose culture is this? Whose tradition culture? The Celtics. Everybody say Celtics. Celtics. Good. All right. The origin of the name Halloween. I hope this makes sense now. We talked about the origin of Halloween. So Halloween is a festival, a ba'al, not a church ba'al. Okay, that's what a festival means. This is Satan's ba'al. We've talked about that. We've talked about where it emerged from. But now we're going to talk about the origin of the name Halloween. If you were paying attention carefully in the beginning, I provided you the name, the original name of Halloween. It wasn't Halloween. You guys remember what it was? Huh? I'll show it to you soon. I'm just wondering, you don't have to answer. Just think about it, okay? Now we're going to talk about the name Halloween, the origin of it. Originally, this pagan holiday was called the Vigil of, so it's called the Vigil of Samhain, or in their Celtic language, Celtic is like the Giz, right? Samhain. So it was the Vigil of Samhain. You know how we say Tinsae, or we say Lidet? But they were saying, hey, it's the Vigil of Samhain. We'll see you later. We'll sacrifice our mom. Hey, that's her culture. So it was pronounced Samhain, the Celtic festival of Samhain, Lord of Death and Evil Spirits. That's the original celebration, what it was called. But how did we get from this to Halloween? That's what we're going to talk about now. In the 7th century, for the first time ever, Pope Boniface IV introduced All Saints' Day, a time to honor saints and martyrs. It was to be observed on May 13th. So in the 7th century, Pope Boniface, not our Pope, he's a Catholic Pope, not Orthodox Tawado. I want to be clear. And you could Google this. So for the first time ever, Catholicism was very powerful. They were in charge in Europe.